This is a reaction video to Sabine Hossenfelder's June 2025 YouTube video entitled "This Changed My Life", in which she discusses determinism and free will.
Disclaimer: this discussion presumes quantum events are not predetermined. This presumption and its opposite are currently unproven beliefs.
Humans ultimately are big bags of particles, and we know the equations that those particles obey. And the laws that dictate the behavior of those particles are partly deterministic and partly random. This means that, to a big extent, what those particles do is a direct consequence of what happened earlier. That's the deterministic part. And then there are some quantum jumps on top of this, which are unpredictable and uncontrollable. And that's it. That's me, that's you, that's all of us.
Sabine says, quote, "some quantum jumps," unquote. But she leaves the proportion undefined. In fact, one could read it as minimizing the proportion of quantum jumps in the course of the universe. Let's examine the actual breadth of quantum uncertainty. Human life, like all life on Earth, derives its energy from the sun. Every life-giving photon shining down from that fiery orb originated in a fusion reaction, building higher elements from its hydrogen origins. Proton-proton fusion, the base reaction fueling the sun, has a probability defined by a quantum wave function. The average proton in the sun collides 2,000 trillion times per second. That means the quantum dice are thrown 2,000 trillion times every second. And yet the average proton in a proton-proton collision that produces a deuterium nucleus occurs just once every 300 trillion years, having undergone an average of 3 times 10 to the 32nd collisions to get just one success. 300 trillion years is 20 times longer than the life of the universe so far. Proton-proton fusion is extremely improbable, a probability entirely in the quantum realm. But wait, there's more. The photons created in the center of the sun can take up to 170,000 years to reach the surface, rebounding off other particles whose motion is also randomized by the incessant quantum uncertainties. 8 minutes later, if lucky enough to radiate in the direction of the Earth, may perchance fall upon a green leaf and fuel the energy-thirsty plant. Finally, on safe deterministic grounds? Not so fast. Photon capture is not fully deterministic. It can bypass some atoms and be captured by others, highly dependent on the state of its electron cloud, the very nature of which has quantum variables. Chemistry at scale has averages. But it is averaged randomness. Not unconstrained randomness, but quantum randomized within the constraints of the laws of physics. But life is small scale, certainly something the size of the Earth itself follows billiard ball physics, but no. The Earth is star ash, composed of elements that have undergone highly improbable chains of fusel collision, escaping after millions or billions of years in multi-generational exploding nova. The amount of material available, its distribution within the star, its direction of ejection, these are all powered by quantum events at the nuclear level. Some quantum jumps, dear Sabine? The known laws of physics, conservation of mass energy, conservation of momentum, these constrain, but are insufficient alone to predict anything beyond the first few microseconds after the Big Bang. You say, quantum randomness is unpredictable and uncontrollable. But we know a candle reliably burns, no surprises. There isn't a dichotomy between nature unconstrained and fully constrained. Merely that the paths to where we are now, at this instant, were twisty and followed a randomized walk, not in a fully deterministic manner. Where does that leave free will? We are constantly presented with an environment fed on randomized energy not more than 8 minutes old, let alone 14 billion years. Such non-determination provides choices. Consequence of what happened earlier is also called experience. Yes, learning, experience, guides our choices. But that is not anything near a lack of free will. So I would say, Sabine, the case against free will, not proven.